Hey there, I'm Rodrigo and I'm the co-founder of ListenLoop. In today's video blog, we're going to cover the role of display advertising in your business-to-business marketing mix. The first overarching question we're going to start with is, what role should display advertising play in your marketing mix, and what are the complete cast of characters or possibilities that are available for display advertising? Let's start with the key 5 different ways you can use display advertising in a business-to-business context. Branding and awareness is a very common use of display advertising, but you don't find it as much in business-to-business applications because display advertising tends to be more of a direct response. People are looking for that click-through rate and trying to measure the conversion versus cost to make it worthwhile. And so as a result, that branding play, especially in a business-to-business context, doesn't get used very often, with the exception of some very large brands that you might know. Okay, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't use it in your particular context, especially if you're doing it in conjunction with retargeting, right? Because in that case, you're only limiting your display advertising to the people who have met your segments or have visited your site. And as a result, retargeting in this context, specifically for branding, can actually make you appear larger than you actually are, which is a great use case for display advertising to satisfy a branding requirement. Let's look at method number 2 for display advertising. And that's top of the funnel lead generation, really encouraging prospects to visit your site. So you could use a variety of different DSPs or even Google to identify specific segments of people you want to go after that have never been to your site before, right? And so you could use, for instance, Facebook targeting to identify professionals or a particular industry you're going after, or LinkedIn to do the exact same thing, so you could find the kind of buyer that's in your sweet spot and drive them to your website for the very first time. But it doesn't end there. Let's move on to method number 3, and that's education. Education typically through downloadable content, either gated or ungated, right? Because it's not enough to just drive traffic to your website, you actually have to convert it into a known lead. And the most common way of doing that in the business-to-business context is providing some kind of education, typically a white paper or an ebook about the problem and the solution that your software or service or product is really addressing. So with that, let's move on to method number 4. Closing accounts by staying top of mind and omnipresent. So what happens here is that, okay, great, you've educated them, they've downloaded that content, they're in your email marketing, drip campaigns and automation, but did you stop display advertising to them? Are you sending them the right message? It's no good to be nurturing them with very precise email messages on the one hand, and then on the other showing a very disparate and not in sync display ad that's just talking about some high-level branding. If you're doing things right, your display advertising and your email marketing automation are in sync and supporting one another to create an increase in open rates, an increase in click-through rates, and truly an increase in your conversion rates all the way down the funnel, from conversion to a known lead, to an MQL, a sales qualified lead, and yes, even a win. So with that, let's move on to method number 5, customer success. Who would have thought that you could use display advertising for customer success? Now everybody knows that 2015 is the year of customer success. There are great companies out there like Gainsight, Tatango, and many others really targeting this particular aspect, and with good reason, especially if you're in SaaS, right? It's so important to retain your customers, prevent churn. And actually one way you could do that is through display advertising that's very precisely personalized and relevant to that given person. So imagine hooking up one of your Gainsight alerts or one of your Intercom alerts or Tatango alerts that someone's about to churn or is slipping away into a display ad campaign that tries to address the issues that might be happening, encouraging them to contact their account manager in order to drive deeper usage of the product or resolve any outstanding issues that are out there. This works great when that particular person or buyer or customer has become somewhat jaded to the emails that you're sending out. You know, you're trying to resolve the problem, maybe you're emailing them, you're calling them, and hey, they have the best of intentions, they want to get back to you, but guess what? They're super busy, right? They have a business to run themselves. That's why they're a business-to-business buyer. And so they don't mean ill will towards you, your emails just fell by the wayside, your phone calls were inconvenient. But you know what? Display advertising is omnipresent yet in the background, reminding them, oh yes, I do need to resolve that issue. Let me reconnect with them. Okay, so let's recap those 5 roles that display advertising can have for a business-to-business marketer. And that is number 1, branding and awareness. Number 2, top of the funnel filler. Number 3, education. Number 4, closing. And number 5, customer success. So the takeaway from all of these things for you should be interesting. It seems that the savviest business-to-business marketers are telling a story through their display advertising. And really that's only possible through the use of automated advertising platforms that allow you to create a narrative through your display advertising in a way that's relevant and really personalized to the visitor, to the prospect, to the lead, to even the customer in a way that's really going to benefit you and your goals for this particular year. So that concludes today's video blog. Again, I'm Rodrigo. I'm the co-founder of ListenLoop, and we encourage you to leave us a comment and tell us about your story of how you've used and deployed B2B display advertising to help your bottom line. Thanks a lot.